A silver-haired old lady with a honk if you love Jesus sticker on the bumper of her car.
Welcome back to Tech Badger Radio, our weekly conversation of religious radio that's not quite right. And we try to end each first hour with a segment that we call Cripes. Come on, you got to be kidding me. This is the segment we're reminded. There are things in this world that don't go the way we want them to. There's things in this world that are just broken. There's things in this world that make you scream out and want to say cripes and come on and you got to be kidding me. And there's that frustration that we live with. And we're trying to remind ourselves every week that we have choices to make in this world. We can be those who are frustrated. We can be those who cry out. We can be those who shout to the sky. Or we can also be those who change the world that we live in. Be people who change the cripes and the come on, you got to be kidding me into things that are right on. So we in the second hour with the right on. This is our way of confessing that things in the world are not as they ought to be. So we come up with a cripes and a come on, and you've got to be kidding me, to remind ourselves of those things. Well, this week I was trying to catch up on some news at the airport after I came back from Canada. And I was looking through my little news reader that I have on my computer and on my phone, where I can follow different websites from news sources and read the little headlines and then click on it and read the article. It's sort of fancy. It's like having an electronic newspaper that has kept track of these things through the year. So I see an article in the lifestyle department that struck me as interesting. There's a singer named Mariah Carey who's really quite famous and quite a lovely singer. Well, the headline in the article says that Mariah Carey was visited by a social worker at the hospital because the hospital social worker visited Mariah Carey in Los Angeles to investigate her consuming alcohol while breastfeeding in the hospital. That's the headline of the article. Mariah Carey visited by social worker about drinking alcohol while breastfeeding at the hospital. So I click on the link, right? I'm thinking, what in the world? What is Mariah Carey doing? You know, this seems newsworthy, right? That Mariah Carey might be treating her child badly. Yeah. Well, once you click on the link to read the article on CNN, it says, as the headline, scammer calls social worker on Mariah Carey, her husband says. So the article begins with, new mother Mariah Carey got a hospital visit from a social worker this week, according to her husband, after someone complained that Mariah was abusing her newborn twins by consuming alcohol and drugs while breastfeeding. So they put that as the summary.
Sure. Well, yeah, the social worker was technically investigating.
Yes, but then they realized it was just someone pranking or scamming. Cripes. I mean, what kind of news story is it that says there is no news story because she didn't actually do that? Someone just complained about it.
I don't see why they would even need... I mean, I think the scammer is a good enough story for the headline.
I guess you think so? Like it would be some poor social worker at the hospital had the wool pulled over her eyes?
Well...
So someone lies.
People who are interested in celebrity news would be interested in...
Yeah, that some poor social... Yeah, but maybe the headline should have read, scammer calls social worker on Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Rather than new mother Mariah Carey got a visit from a social worker, says her husband. Stop there and then have him say which he believes was initiated by a scammer.
That would have been much more appropriate.
So the Cripes goes out to any time that we hear a bit of news that we think is supposed to send us in a direction of something meaningful, and it turns out there's nothing there at all. Just enough to make you want to shake your fist and say, oh, Cripes. I mean, you got to be kidding me. All right, here's the come on. The come on is going to come out of presidential news. You know, we're entering into a presidential season where people are going to be running for president. That takes a while to get yourself all worked up. So we're going to, I think we're just getting ready for a few months worth of some pretty good Cripes. Come on, you've got to be kidding me. Well, this one goes out to Newt Gingrich. So Newt Gingrich is running for president, as it turns out, and he's had a bit of a unorthodox past for a presidential candidate in this country. He's divorced twice, married to a third woman, and when his second wife that he was married to, he had an affair on that woman, which is very public, and then had an affair on his wife, and then married the woman. So he has this very, very tattered history when it comes to his own personal ethics.
Wasn't his wife also dying at the time?
That may have been true, or that may have just been John Edwards.
It may have.
So there's a lot of these guys. So here's what Newt Gingrich, he's trying to shore up his reputation with conservative religious people. So he went on the Christian Broadcasting Network, CBN. They put out lots of top quality news programming in the religious field. And he was answering some questions and talking about all this. So they asked him about, hey Newt, what's the story with your philandering? What's the story with your sneaking around? Now his answer, long answer is, well, I'm now a born-again Catholic, and I now don't live like that anymore. But here's the answer that he gives on the CBN. Here's the answer that Newt Gingrich gives to the question about what about your philandering and you're running around and you're not upholding your vows to your wife. Should that be something that we should worry about in a president? Here's what he said.
There's no question that at times in my life, partially driven by how passionately I felt about this country, that I worked far too hard, and that things happened in my life that were not appropriate.
So his answer is, yes, most certainly, because I love this country so much, I work so hard that inappropriate things happened in my life. So the apology, the explanation for his philandering is, I work too hard because I love this country so much.
Yeah, I screwed up because I'm just too awesome. That's what happened. I'm sorry.
If there's not a come on that's ever been earned by someone, when you are trying to explain, at least to religious people, why it is that you stepped out on your wife, your second wife, and now are married to the third wife, I don't think the answer is, I love this country so much that I work too hard and then, things happen to me. I mean, that is the greatest. So the come on goes not only to Newt Gingrich, of course, the come on goes to anybody who comes with a lame-o excuse like that. And we've all done it, right? I'm not throwing them under the bus. We've all come with those kind of lame-o things. All right, and the you got to be kidding me? I get that one this week. This isn't a segment where we throw stones alone. This is a segment where we admit ourselves. I was this guy. I went to the post office on Saturday, and I saw signs that said that Twin Cities mail carriers are now doing their food drive. And you know what I thought? I bet Twin Cities mail carriers hate that food drive.
Yeah.
I don't even like to leave an envelope in the mailbox at my house knowing that the mail carrier has to then put it in their bag and be carrying heavy things. Mm-hmm. I feel like their job should get easier as they go throughout the day. So what do I think the mail carriers are thinking? I think the mail carriers must hate this day where on Thursday they have to drop off bags, and then on Saturday you can fill them up with goods for the food drive, and they will pick them up and give them to you. And I'm thinking, I bet they hate this. I read this newspaper article. On Saturday, Twin Cities mail carriers will have a spring in their step, even though their bags will be much heavier than usual. That's because what is in what Minneapolis mail carrier calls the greatest, how does she say it? The greatest day of our life. It's the funnest day of the year. So here these mail carriers are saying, this is the highlight of what we do, that we get to deliver this mail, and I'm sitting there thinking, I bet they hate doing that nice stuff.
I bet that was like the PR person for the department who doesn't deliver email at all.
Well, it's Kathy Burton, a woman mail carrier who carries the bags, and she said it's the funnest day of the year. So you got to be kidding me, the grumpy old guy that thinks that mail carriers just want their job to get easier. They're actually willing to carry the heavy loads, so good for them. Cripes for deceptive headlines. Come on, Newt, you can say it better than that. And you got to be kidding me, crabby old guy. We'll be back with the Right On at the end of the second hour.
Hi, it's